She cheated on me twice, disappeared from my life, and then sent me this 5 months after our breakup. Hey Reddit. To say I was blindsided would be an understatement. When we broke up, I thought that was it. No closure, no drawn-out arguments, just the cold, hard truth of betrayal forcing me to walk away. The first time she cheated, I was stupid enough to forgive her. I told myself people make mistakes. She cried, she begged, she swore it was a one-time thing. And like an idiot, I believed her. We had been together for 3 years at that point, and I thought that meant something. I thought she was just going through a rough patch or maybe felt neglected. I even blamed myself. But then she did it again. And the second time, there were no tears, no desperate pleas for forgiveness. Just excuses. Justifications. And that's when I knew, she wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. That was the moment I realized I had to walk away, no matter how much it hurt. The breakup itself was almost eerily silent. No grand fights, no dramatic screaming matches. I simply packed my things, told her it was over, and left. And you know what? She didn't even fight for me. She just stood there, arms crossed, eyes full of something that almost looked like relief. That hurt more than the cheating. I expected her to chase me, to prove she was worth another chance. But she let me go like I was nothing. That silence haunted me for months. It made me question everything. Had she ever loved me? Had I wasted 3 years of my life on someone who never truly cared? I tried to move on, to bury myself in work and friends and anything that would keep my mind off her. But no matter what I did, there was always this nagging thought in the back of my head, whispering that maybe I'd made a mistake. Maybe I had walked away too soon. Maybe she had loved me, but she was just too broken to show it. And then, after 5 long months of silence, she reached out. I woke up to a text from her, and for a moment, I thought I was dreaming. My heart slammed against my ribs as I stared at her name on my screen. 5 months. 5 months of nothing, and suddenly, she was back. My hands shook as I opened the message, half expecting some grand apology or an attempt to get back together. But it was nothing like that. The message was short, almost casual. Hey, how have you been? I was just thinking about you. That was it. No acknowledgement of what she had done, no mention of the pain she had caused. Just a simple, almost meaningless message, as if we were old friends catching up after losing touch. My stomach twisted with a mix of anger and confusion. Thinking about me? After everything she had put me through, she had the audacity to act like nothing had happened? I didn't reply right away. I stared at the message for hours, debating what to do. Part of me wanted to ignore her, to pretend she didn't exist just like she had pretended I didn't for the last 5 months. But another part of me, the part that still felt that lingering ache of what we used to be, wanted answers. I needed to know why she was reaching out now, after all this time. So I replied. A simple, cold response. Why are you texting me? She didn't answer right away, and for a while, I thought she might not respond at all. But then, just as I was about to put my phone down, it buzzed. I miss you. I laughed out loud when I read it. She misses me? Now? After 5 months of silence? After cheating on me twice? I almost threw my phone across the room. It was infuriating how easily she could say those words, as if they meant anything after everything she had done. I wanted to call her out, to demand answers, to ask her why she thought she had the right to say that to me now. But instead, I just stared at the message, feeling a sick sense of déjà vu. Because this was exactly how she had pulled me back in the first time. When she cheated the first time, she had used those same words. I miss you. I love you. It was a mistake. And I had fallen for it. But now, I knew better. Or at least, I thought I did. I didn't respond right away. I let her words sit there, waiting, unanswered. But she didn't stop at just one message. She kept going. I've been thinking a lot about us. I regret everything. Another one. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I just need you to know that I never stopped loving you. And then, the one that really got to me. I was stupid. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. Because despite everything, there was still a part of me that hadn't fully let go. That still remembered the good times, the way she used to look at me when she thought I wasn't watching, the way she made me laugh when I was having the worst day. But then I reminded myself, this was the same woman who had betrayed me not once, but twice. The same woman who had stood there and watched me walk away without a fight. The same woman who had let 5 months pass without a single word. So I made a choice. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. But before I blocked her number and erased her from my life for good, I needed to know. I needed to know why she was reaching out now, after all this time. So I sent one last message. What do you really want? The typing bubble appeared almost instantly. My heart pounded as I waited for her response, my mind racing with possibilities. Was she looking for closure? Did she actually regret what she did? Or was there something else, something more selfish? I had no idea what to expect. But when her response finally came through, it wasn't what I thought it would be. Not even close. Can we meet? I need to tell you something in person. My breath caught in my throat as I reread the message over and over again. I had been expecting an apology, maybe a half-hearted attempt at rekindling what we had. But this? This was something different. Something heavier. My gut twisted with unease. What could she possibly need to tell me in person? And why now? A part of me wanted to ignore her, to shut this door once and for all. But another part of me, the part that still craved closure, needed to know. So I made a decision. I would meet her. Just once. Just to hear what she had to say. But deep down, I had a sinking feeling, this wasn't going to end the way I thought it would. Update. I didn't sleep much after she sent that message. My mind wouldn't stop racing with possibilities. What could she possibly need to tell me in person? Why now, after all this time? I'd tried to convince myself that I didn't care, that it didn't matter, that I had moved on. But the truth was, no matter how much I wanted to pretend otherwise, I still needed answers. So against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. I kept it short. Just a simple message saying, fine. Tell me when and where. It didn't take long for her to reply. She wanted to meet at this small coffee shop we used to go to when we were together. That alone made my stomach twist. It felt too familiar, too calculated. Like she was trying to pull me back into something. But I wasn't the same person I was 5 months ago. I told myself I would go, hear what she had to say, and then walk away for good. The day of the meeting, I almost backed out. Every instinct was telling me this was a bad idea. But curiosity won. When I got there, she was already sitting at a corner table, looking down at her hands like she was nervous. The moment she saw me, her face lit up in a way that sent a strange mix of anger and nostalgia through me. She looked different. Not in a drastic way, but there was something off. She looked tired, maybe even a little lost. But I forced myself to remember who she was, what she had done. I sat down without saying a word, just waiting for her to speak. She started with small talk, asking how I'd been, if I was seeing anyone. I shut that down immediately. I told her to get to the point. That's when she sighed, fidgeting with the sleeve of her sweater like she was trying to gather her thoughts. Then she finally said it. I made a mistake. A huge one. I almost laughed. That was nothing new. She had made plenty of mistakes, and I had paid the price for them. But before I could say anything, she continued. I didn't just cheat on you. It was worse than that. My chest tightened. What did that mean? I thought I already knew everything. I thought the worst had already happened. But the way she was looking at me, like she was bracing herself for my reaction, told me there was more. Much more. And then she dropped the bombshell. I was seeing someone before we even broke up. Not just once or twice. It was a full-on relationship. The words hit me like a truck. My mind went blank for a moment. I had known she cheated twice, but I had assumed it was random, meaningless. But this? This was different. This meant she had been living a double life while pretending to love me. I could feel the anger rising in my chest, my hands clenching into fists under the table. I wanted to scream at her, to demand why she was telling me this now. But all I could do was sit there, staring at her, waiting for her to continue. She told me it had started months before our breakup, that she hadn't planned for it to happen, but it just did. That she had convinced herself she loved us both. But eventually, she realized she couldn't keep living a lie. So she let me go. But here was the part that really messed me up. She wasn't telling me this to hurt me. She wasn't even telling me this to ask for forgiveness. She was telling me because she needed help. Another update. I thought I had heard everything. I thought nothing she said could shock me anymore. But then she told me why she had really reached out after all this time. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't regret. It was fear. Because the guy she had left me for? He wasn't who she thought he was. At first, everything had been perfect. He had showered her with attention, made her feel special, like she was the only woman in the world. But it didn't take long for things to change. The sweet, charming guy she thought she knew turned into someone else entirely. Controlling. Manipulative. And eventually, dangerous. She told me it started small. Little things, like him questioning where she was, who she was with. Then it escalated. He started isolating her, making her cut off friends and family. By the time she realized what was happening, it was too late. She was trapped in a toxic, abusive relationship, and she didn't know how to get out. And that was why she had reached out to me. Because she had no one else. Because she had burned every bridge, and I was the only person left who might actually care enough to help her. I sat there, completely numb, trying to process everything. This woman had betrayed me in the worst way possible. She had destroyed me, made me question everything I had ever believed about love and trust. And now she wanted me to save her? The audacity of it made me sick. But at the same time, I couldn't ignore the fear in her eyes. The desperation in her voice. As much as I wanted to walk away, as much as I wanted to tell her she was on her own, I couldn't do it. Because no matter what she had done to me, I wasn't the kind of person who could just ignore someone in danger. So I asked her what she needed from me. She hesitated, like she was afraid to say it out loud. And then she finally whispered, I need to get away from him. But I don't know how. Final update. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was closure. Maybe it was guilt. Or maybe, deep down, I just wanted to prove to myself that I was better than her. That I wouldn't abandon someone in their worst moment, even if they had abandoned me. So I agreed to help her. Not because I forgave her. Not because I wanted her back. But because I knew what it was like to feel trapped, powerless. And no one deserved that. Over the next few days, we put a plan together. She couldn't just leave, he had control over too much of her life. She had moved in with him, depended on him financially. He had convinced her that she had nowhere else to go, no one who cared. And the worst part? She believed him. He had broken her down so much that she didn't even trust her own instincts anymore. But I wasn't going to let her stay trapped in that cycle. I helped her find a place to stay, made sure she had everything she needed. The night she left, she was shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone. She kept looking over her shoulder, terrified that he would somehow find out what she was doing. And maybe he did, because not even a day later, he started calling her nonstop, sending messages, showing up at places he thought she might be. He wasn't letting her go without a fight. And that's when I realized something. This wasn't just about helping her leave. This was about making sure she stayed safe. Because this wasn't over yet. Not even close.